Alright guys, I wanted to show you today the AOSU SolarCam P1 SE home cam security system. One of the big draws for me for this guy is that the solar panel is tied in directly with the camera itself, so it's just one unit, making things very convenient. I'm going to show you the features today, show you how the app works, and then show you some demo footage. So you can get this in the 2-cam configuration, but you can also get it with 4 cameras. And it does come with that base. So this base is going to be able to have that local storage, 32 gigabytes worth of data, so that you don't have to pay for a cloud subscription or anything like that for your recordings. So let's take a look at the camera itself. Obviously, there's the nice big solar panel on the top of it. For just 2 hours of daily sunlight, this will power this thing on forever. So just 2 hours a day of sunlight, and you're good to go as far as powering it on. And then the camera itself will be at the front there, and then the motion sensor is over to the right. Right in the middle there, you'll see a light that you can turn on. That's a little spotlight for security purposes. All right, and then at the back there, there's the speaker that's going to allow you to two-way talk with the base. And if you look at the top here, there's going to be a flap that keeps everything waterproof. And behind that, you're going to have your power button, your reset button. And then in the middle there, you do have a USB-C port, which you can use to charge this thing manually. This does have night vision, so you can use colored night vision if you have enough light to light the entire area. But if not, you do have the option to use infrared, black and white as well. So just to give you an example of what that looks like, here's the colored night vision along with some infrared examples. All right, so let's take a look at the base. So this is going to be something that you're going to hook up right to your router. So it comes with the Ethernet port right at the back there. So you hook one end up here and the other end to your router. It does have a USB-C slot here as well, so you can use this thing to charge this. And then of course you're going to have your power port right there. It does also have a speaker, again, just for that two-way talk capability. The speaker is right at the bottom. All right, as far as installation, once you have your base in place to install the actual cameras, as you'll see here, you can loosen this knob here. And as you can see, the angling ability of this thing is pretty wide, so you have definitely a lot of options as far as how you want it to be turned or angled. And then to screw in the actual base, you can screw this thing completely off. And then it's gonna come with the screws already, so you just need to provide a drill or a screwdriver. It also has the drywall anchors if you need to use that for extra security. All right, so now let's take a look at the app where you'll be spending the majority of your time managing the cameras. So at the very top of the home screen, you'll see the option to view multicam. So this is essentially going to give you the ability to view the live feed from both cameras, or all 4 cameras if you have all 4. And then you have the option to turn off the sound like so. You can click on the exclamation point, and that's going to put out a voice alert through the camera's speaker system.
Please get out of here now!
You can talk directly to whoever you may be wanting to talk to through the camera using that mic button there. And then you can even manually record by clicking on that video icon like so. Or you can click on the scissor icon, and that's going to save a photo to your album. All right, back on the home screen at the top right, this is a way to set settings for if you're away from home or if you are at home. So in away mode, you can click on the gear icon, and then you can set the settings for each camera. You can turn on and off recording, the notifications, or the alarms for both cameras. And then you can set the same exact settings for if you're at home. So let's say you're at home and you know you're going to be walking around. You don't necessarily want the notifications sent to your phone, so you can turn those off for both cameras. So that's pretty convenient. And then also just a nice convenient way to turn off all the cameras or turn them all on at once. You can use the bottom 2 options there, and you just click on execute, and that turns it off or turns it on. All right, so back on the home screen, you can click into each camera. So I'm going to click on SolarCam 2 as an example. And then you'll see the same exact options kind of at the bottom of the recording screen there. But below that, you'll see more options. So illumination means that that's how you can turn on the light, the spotlight on the camera. Tone is where you can change your actual voice, so you can hide what you actually sound like. And then that way you can then press that talk button in the middle to talk to whoever's on the other end. And then alarm, of course, will just ring the alarm. Same thing with voice alert. So here's kind of an example of what the light looks like. And then an example of the alarm going off. By accessing the cameras this way, you can also access the events. So these are the recorded videos that were triggered by any sort of motions. All right, so now that we're in events, I'm going to use this as an example of showing you how cross-camera tracking works. So for example, let's click into this file because it saw that I was walking by on this one camera here. And then at the bottom, you can see that you can switch over to the other camera because it knows that I then walked around the corner and walked into the field of that other camera. So it conveniently places all those files into this one file here that you can switch back and forth on, making things super convenient. And here's just an example of how that looks with the video file blown up, so you can see just the quality of it. All right, back on that home page again, as you'll see below each camera, there's a snooze button. That's just an easy way to basically turn off the notifications. You have several options there for the time. And then the settings, where you're able to fully customize the settings for each camera. So you can turn it on and off at the top. You can even change the name at the very top there. And then under event settings, you can change the motion detection. So you can completely actually turn it off. You can even have the option to just detect for humans only. So it's smart enough to know if, like, let's say a car is passing by, it won't turn on then, but only if it sees humans. And then the detection sensitivity, you can adjust that automatically using this button. But if you have that off, you can then adjust anywhere from close all the way to far. All right, the auto alarm, right now it's disabled, but every time it detects someone, you can have the alarm go off. You can have it set to going on all day, or you can have it set to within a certain time period. You can change the alarm volume down there as well. Right, notification settings, so that's all the notifications that are going to be sent to your phone, so you can adjust that. All right, night vision, so this is where you're able to choose color night vision versus black and white night vision. And then you do have your general settings like video and audio. You can change it from 2K mode, which prioritizes the image quality, but you can switch it to smooth mode, so it makes the video much smoother at the cost of the video quality. And then you can change the volume for the two-way speaker. There's battery management, so you can put it on power saving mode. That's when it'll only record 20 seconds. And then intelligent detection mode, where it records up to 60 seconds. Scheduled sleep, so you can have it turn off at a certain time. And there is where you can edit the sleep period. This does work with Amazon Alexa and Google Home, so you can go ahead and set those up if you'd like through here. And then just your basic settings like the about, the firmware updates, the quick start guide is available here, and this is where you can restart or remove the device completely. And below all the cameras, you can click into HomeBase, and this is where you can change the settings for the HomeBase. So not a whole lot that you can do with that, but you can also get the firmware updates here, so that's pretty important if you want to update the HomeBase. And then if you click into the cameras, it's just going to be the same exact settings that we already saw. All right, and at the very bottom, if you're interested in buying other products, you can click on Store. If you need support, you can click on Online Support. And then clicking on Events is just going to be a nice quick way to get to all the recorded videos. All right, so I hope that gives you a good idea of how the AOSU SolarCam P1 SE works. So definitely check this thing out today.